Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Brothers in Arms, a new way for men to talk. I am your host, comedian Edgar Rivera, and I'm joined today by my brothers, Dr. Dan Ratner and comedian Eric Nieves. What's happening, brothers?
How are you, Edgar?
I'm fantastic, Dr. Dan. This is what we're doing. I'm going to go first.
It'll never stop now.
I feel great. All right, so I'll take the first one. I feel great, man. I know it's been a while since we met. It was like a couple of weeks, 3 weeks already since the last time we actually got to record. So I started walking again. I've lost 28 pounds in 33 days, bro. 28 pounds, bro. Like,
that's impressive.
It is, man. It is. I've done 33 days. I've done 142 miles of hiking. Just hiking, you know. Everybody's like, "Oh man, you look like." I'm starting to feel it. I mean, I went up to like 270. You know, that's the highest I ever gone. A few months ago, I was 270, bro, and I couldn't. And we had a good friend in the community, in the comedy community. David Arnold passed away last month, and that was like an eye opener for me, man. That was like oh man, I need to do something, you know. And it defeats the whole purpose, because you never know. You could be in shape, you could be doing great, you could be in the best shape of your life, and you never know when that day is gonna come, you know, which scares you even more. But I feel like until that day comes, I want to be at the best, you know, shape of my life. So I feel great. I feel great. I'm walking a lot, dude. I'm walking a lot. People are like, yo, why you walk so much? Because I'm like, dude, I spent a year without walking after my accident, you know? So I'm trying to make that shit up. But I feel great, man. I feel excelente. You like that one, Eric? Excelente. I feel great. A lot of shows. It's coming back around, man. How you guys doing? How you doing, Dr. Dan?
I'm doing really well. I'm I'm pretty exhausted. I'm working a lot these days to try to finish up a couple of things, including the book. So I'm working really, really hard towards that. But I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm really excited about it. So I feel I'm tired but energized, if that makes sense.
Nice. Well, that's good, man. I'm glad that you're energized at least. What about you, Eric?
It's been a fucked up week.
Oh, I was like, I hope he tells it like it is, but I mean,
it's been a fucked up week. First off, I bought my cousin as a birthday gift, 50th birthday. I bought him a floating football, a display silver medal floating football. It arrived for his birthday. The shit did not float. It crashed. So I returned it, and 8 weeks later, he finally got the replacement yesterday. And this one doesn't float. So now I got to return it again.
Football, though?
Huh?
What do you mean by a floating football?
All right, it's a base, but it has a magnet that's supposed to levitate this silver football to commemorate the last Buccaneers championship for the NFL. So it's this big, shiny, like big silver football, and it has this on this wood base, and it has the score on it, who won. And it's just a big light shining under our silver football, and it's supposed to like spin and like this amazing centerpiece for a man cave. And the shit fucking crashed twice. So, and I spent over $200 on this thing. Yes, over $200 on this thing, and it didn't work twice. So
my birthday is July 4th, Eric.
I ain't getting you shit for your birthday until I get my $200 back from my cousin's fucking football. Okay,
maybe you should have gotten a floating baseball. It's lighter.
Well, first of all, I would just buy you a baseball on a string because you're not a sports fan. You don't give a fuck what it is. You don't have a man cave. You're not gonna hang any sports shit.
What are you talking about? This is my man cave. Look at my man cave.
My cousin is a big sports fan, and I wanted to get him something nice, and it's fucked up. I don't want to mention the name of the company because I haven't gotten my refund yet. But you know, because
they're our sponsor.
Imagine, well, actually, our sponsor is an asshole.
Our sponsor is non-floating footballs.
Non-floating silver gifts that you pay over $200 for.
But you shouldn't really feel that bad about it, man. You know, it's the thought that, at the end of the day, it's the thought that counts. You know, your cousin should feel like, oh, wow.
You know, I like when people say that it's a thought that counts. You know who thought that? Somebody that didn't do shit, okay? It's not just the thought that counts. Actions count, okay?
Well, you did.
You know what I mean? I could think a bunch of shit, but if I don't do nothing, it doesn't mean shit, right? So, you know, and the thing is, the first night, it was at his party, and there was 50 people there drunk watching a crashing football. which was horrible because it was, they were recording it because they're all waiting to see this floating football.
Oh, no.
So last night my cousin gets it, and I'm thinking he's calling me at 7:30 at night, telling me how great this football is, and he was practically in tears saying, I can't get this shit to work, and now it smells like it's on fire. So I said, turn it off, package it. I'm returning it. So yeah,
I think it would have been
Listen.
cheaper if you would have bought a ticket to Tampa.
I
and
was
just gone
in
over there.
Tampa watching him open it. I paid to watch him not be able. I was there face to face. I had to look at his wife, who was so excited, go, oh shit, I saved this gift for last. She saved the gift for last. Like it was the highlight. It was supposed to be the big gift. Yeah.
It makes
No,
for
what I
a
was
great
gonna tell you
story.
is, I think it would have been
so,
cheaper
yeah.
if you
Yeah,
would have flew
so-
to Tampa and just spin the football in front of him with your hands.
I would have been better off throwing the football at his head and knocking him unconscious so he wouldn't remember I was there with that shit. That would have been the best case scenario, is to take the football, knock him unconscious, and have him wake up and tell him I was never there and that I never brought the football.
All right, is this the only thing that's going on? I need to ask.
No, it's not the only thing going on. My wife got COVID finally. Well, it's been out of my house. It hasn't been in my house. But now it was in my house, or it is in my house. And
It's a stressful thing to have it in your house. The first time that we had it in our house, it felt really different. It just was not easy.
Well,
You feel like it's
and when
everywhere.
you're watching your partner sick. I don't have kids, thank God. So I can't imagine, Dan, what you was going through with the little ones. And I know that that could even make it worse. But when you watch your partner just kind of get jacked up by something, it fucks with your head.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is what worries. I've never been overly concerned with it as COVID, as far as because it never stepped in my front door. But now it was in my house, and the thing is, I'm one of those people that has a pre-existing condition that my lungs are limited by poor choices of my own through my smoking. So if I catch, breathing is already difficult for me. So any kind of impediment frightens me. So
Makes sense.
It's so that you're forced to think about it when it gets close. So when it was the first time during the entire pandemic, and keep in mind I worked at a hospital where we were keeping bodies in cold storage trucks, okay, because that's how many people were dying on a daily basis. So for all the people that don't believe in it from the beginning, fuck you. But it never tapped me on the shoulder. It never said, hey, Eric. Because even when I was working, I was still working at a relatively safe remote distance in my job, and I was doing everything by virtual appointments. And even the doctor's appointments were virtual at that point. So there was no direct contact as far as that world of exposure. But two things now are very clear to me. One, that no one's going to be able to avoid this unless you shut yourself off from the world, which I will not do. And second, that this thing seems to get more and more contagious with every variant. That is the one thing I've noticed, is that the contagion aspect of it is increasing as the death toll declines. And that is a double-edged sword, because people are dismissing a couple of hundred people dying a day. Just because the effects of it aren't as severe when you get it, but more people are getting it, and people are still dying. So it's just kind of a whirlwind of kind of thinking about just that it just touched me on the shoulder, and it makes you think about things.
It's hard. It was making me think that one of the things I appreciate about you guys in this show is that we talk about how to be genuine with each other. And I have a joke that I say sometimes to the people I work with. I say, how are you? They say they're fine. And then I say, okay, we got the American, how are you, out of the way. Now let's ask how you really are. And they laugh, but it really is true. A lot of times we take that, how are you, and we don't go ahead and just be ourselves. But I'm glad you did, because you've been having a tough time.
The football pushed me over the edge. I'm nearly not,
The football.
No,
I feel like we did a walk in the walk.
I'm serious.
We started this with a walk in the walk.
I'm serious. You don't know how it feels to have, you buy this fucking thing, you spend this money out of love for somebody, and it's like, I needed something good to happen with this. You understand? You know what I mean? I needed a good outcome out of that refund.
Needed a win.
Thank you. That's the word. I needed a win. I needed a victory, and I didn't get one. And I end up getting another fucking kick in the balls. So
sometimes those things can actually hurt, especially because of what you're saying. Like
kicks in the balls?
Well, kicks in the balls we know hurt, but it's a new way for men to talk. But, I think that, sometimes people will dismiss these small things, but you just highlighted something important, which is like, no, sometimes these small things happen, or these seemingly small things happen at moments where you really need a win.
Mm-hmm.
And Edgar, I know you're not a sports fan, but I think that's part of the angst of being a sports fan sometimes. Sometimes you can be watching that game and just think, I just need a win. I've had a hard time with other things. Just let me win. And then
like the Pittsburgh Pirates. So the Pittsburgh Pirates are a team that loses on average 100 games a year. So to put that in perspective, there's only 162 games in the entire year. So basically, they lose 2/3 of their games, and they've lost 2/3 of their games. Perhaps I would say for the last 5, 6, 7 years, not since McCutcheon left, they haven't been decent. And you'll see a group of millionaires, who are paid millions to play a game, right? And they're having no fun with it. They look like they are having needles stuck underneath their fingernails. And they're playing professional baseball. They're getting paid to play a game. But even when you're paid to play a game, if you don't win enough of those games, you're not going to want to go do that anymore. And, no matter what the incentive is, and these are rich young men who are getting paid millions and who probably still have women. Even the Pittsburgh Pirates have women throw panties at them because they're rich. But no matter what you think of their lives, if you don't get a victory, you're not going to want to walk out into the field. And I got to be honest with you, that's kind of how I feel right now. Like, I feel like I got no energy to bring to the field. I'm going through the motions. I'm living. I'm not hating life, but I don't know if just with everything it's been crazy. I just lost a spark lately, and it just a series of disappointments lately kind of makes you kind of go, what's the point sometimes of staying positive? And I always get over it. But sometimes you just don't have the energy to get on the field.
Have you had a lot of times like this in the past? I'm just curious because, like one of the things that I'm sure you guys probably agree with, you guys have known each other for a long time, but there are ways in which even with how well we know each other, I don't know some of the background. Like, maybe this happens for you sometimes and that you're going to get out of it, but maybe not. Maybe this is one of those things where it's like, I never like this.
No, I'm aware that this particular wall though it's kind of multi-layered in that it's because there's really not a lot of aspects that aren't kind of included in what's going on. You know what I mean? I think the way I would describe it, I feel like I've hit kind of a wall, and I think part of that is I think when you get to a certain point, you kind of look at where you are and you look at the compass of your life, and you're like, all right, what am I doing? Why am I doing everything that I'm doing? You start to take an inventory of what is taking your time, what is important to you, why, what is stressing you, why is it stressing you? And I think the reason why the wall is happening, part of it is getting older, you get to know who you are, and as a person, because you just kind of know what the fuck you're gonna deal with and what you're not gonna deal with. And sometimes when you get to the point where you're more being yourself, you start to look around and going, well, why am I doing these things? Why am I letting this bother me? Why am I still talking to this person? Why am I still doing this?
Why am I even doing that? Right.
You know, and I think I'm getting to a tipping point where, sometimes, you make decisions based on obligation and responsibility. And I think that sometimes when you get to a certain point, you realize, you know what, I better start making decisions that are going to make me feel good, because this obligation and loyalty shit, that and 275 will get you on the train. So I think it's just been because even the solace I used to find in comedy, I haven't been finding, and that's kind of unique, in that I'm having to jack myself up to do shows, and when and part of that could be because there's so few of them sometimes, and it comes and goes. I don't know, but the funny thing is, I end up having great shows and I end up having a great time, and afterwards, after I do the show, I do feel better. But the lead up to it used to be very exciting for me, and now I'm almost like, I got to go do this. So, I just think that's just, I think just because everything that's been going on.
I want to say something, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you for opening up. I mean, this is the first time we actually open up an episode, and I think I appreciate you for opening up. I think it should definitely make you feel a little bit better. But I had a question for Dr. Dan about this, right? Because I've been thinking a lot about this. We have a show about how men should talk and how we should vent out and how we should let things out. And I'm a strong believer that sometimes when you let things out, it does make you a little bit better. It's like the build-up for the show. Yeah, you don't look forward to the show, but after the show, you're like, it feels great. And that's how I feel about when we share stuff, right? But since we've been doing this podcast, to me, I encourage men to talk. And at the same time, when men talk to me, I'm afraid to tell them anything, Dr. Dan. Like, I think of stuff, I'm more of like, okay, you know what? I should just let people vent out and listen. I'm not going to fix his problems. I can't fix his problems, But my question to you, Dr. Dan, is what would you say to Eric, who just opened up to us and told us, what were your responses? I want us to know your response so I could at least learn it. So when this happens again with someone else, I know exactly what to do at that point.
Okay, so I'll definitely tell you my response, but then Eric, I want to get your feedback on how it sits with you in this moment you're in. One of the things I wanted to talk about in this show is I have this shirt I told you guys about. It says, "Be you, they'll adjust." Mm-hmm. And when I wear that shirt, I get more compliments on that shirt than any other shirt that I have. It's like a beacon for people to show them that I'm living that way, that they can live that way. And I think that what I hear you saying, Eric, essentially, is that deciding to be who you are is incredibly important, but it can be really painful. Because there are times where you look at your life and you realize that who you are going to be, or maybe who you have been, that hasn't been true in every way. And I guess one thing I want to say to you that hopefully can be of some help, but we can talk about it here in any way, is that in my experience, those are like times where I reorganize myself. And It can be very painful. It can be very scary. But I think you're wise to be paying attention to what you need. I would say that also I can get into dark spots where I think I need to adjust lots and lots of things when really I got to take a step back and be like, what do I actually need to adjust here? And maybe it's not everything. Sometimes unhappiness and frustrations and things like that can come from certain parts of our experience where we're really stuck. When I make those adjustments to parts of it, things can change. But I think the fact that you are checking in with yourself and being like, what's really me? What really makes things work for me is a good start. So that's what I would say as a starting point. But Eric, how do you take that in?
The first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, I joked about this the last couple of weeks, but I was offered a promotion, I'd say maybe 8-9 months ago. And it took 7 months to process this promotion because that's what big bureaucracies do. They take time to do simple things. When they finally gave me the promotion, it ended up only being an increase of literally like 40 cents an hour of an increase from my salary.
Right.
So basically, after 7 years of service, I get a 40 cent per hour, which comes out to about $7 and change a paycheck. $7 and a paycheck, all right? Not even a week, a paycheck. And then to add insult to injury, all these additional responsibilities are popping up. And on top of this, I graduate with my master's degree, which the union paid for and the company knew I was pursuing, and did not even acknowledge it. Didn't even, congratulations, nothing. It was the most, it was if I'd done nothing for 2.5 years. And the company knew I was working for them and trying to work on myself with this college thing. And to not even get acknowledged, to not even get an email. I mean, I'd take an email. So, and this is a company that I work really hard for, and I go in early for and stay after if I have to. So it makes me wonder, sometimes I wonder, is it the company or the job? I don't know. Maybe in the field of social services, if you want to do something and get acknowledged for it, working for people won't do it, because if all you do is social services, nobody gives a fuck. No one cares. You could tell by the salaries we get. So I mean, with this fucking graduation, and so now I'm thinking to myself, well, am I going to allow myself to be stuck in this, or am I going to try to find something else to do? I don't. Maybe now that I'm more of an older person and I know what I like and what I don't like, maybe I can choose a path that is more conducive to my happiness instead of just continuing the path that allows me to pay the bills. But those are difficult choices to make. And and it's always big because I'm not a 20-year-old kid. I'm 50, bro. 50-year-olds just don't switch careers like that. So these days I'm going to work begrudgingly. I'm waking up slowly, and I'm dreading every Monday. And that is not good.
No. I mean, I do want to say, and this kind of fits with your question, Edgar, about like, well, what do you say to somebody in these circumstances? To me, one of the things that's most important is when you feel disrespected and not seen and not valued, it's pretty hard to stay in that situation. I've been in that situation many, many times in a variety of ways, in relationships, in family relationships, in jobs, sometimes even in like the city you live in, if you feel like, the people there are not valuing you enough, your community, it's very hard to stay. I remember one time I was working, and I will name these people. It's a long time ago, but I was working at Fordham University in their counseling center. And, oh my God.
Oh my God.
And they made floating footballs. No, I'm kidding. They were terrible at everything they did. Eric, I hope you know I'm just trying to add some levity, even though I know that's a painful spot.
I got you, bro.
They were paying us badly. They were expecting ridiculous things of us. They were not taking our feedback at all. And I was pretty young at the time. I was in my early 30s, and I just, not that it doesn't matter what age you're at. It's a very confusing situation to be in where you should be getting valued, but you're not. It's almost hard to square up and recognize that it's even happening. And when you realize that it is, it's really, really hard to stay. So I remember recognizing at one point, we had a group meeting, and the staff was upset, and we were meeting with the administrator who was above our boss. And we were voicing some of our concerns, and one of them was, look, we're trying to build something here that's good for the university. And the guy said, well, we don't really look at the staff that way. We kind of look at this as a stepping stone. You be here for a couple of years, and then you move on. The minute he said that, my job was done. I couldn't be there anymore. I couldn't. I was like, so you are directly telling me I'm not valued. And I feel like that's kind of what's happened to you in another form.
No, they passively aggressively told me to fuck.
Yeah, which is actually even worse in a lot of ways.
Okay, I mean, the human resources person on the phone had to apologize and said, "Let me call you back," because she wanted to verify that the information she was looking at was accurate.
Yeah.
So
right.
even she couldn't believe that she was telling me congratulations in one breath, and then said, "Listen, I got to call you back because I'm not sure what I'm looking at is real." And then 5 minutes later, I had to hear it again. Yes, you are correct. That is what you're getting. And I rounded it off to 40 cents. It was actually 39 point something.
Right, and it's a slap in the face. And I remember when you brought it up, you're a very good-natured guy, and you're funny, and you turned it into a joke, and you used it. But that's cutting, that's devaluing, literally.
So, I'll get over it. I'll get over, at least not it. I'll get over this feeling of how it's bothering me. Situation I'll address. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of it. Listen, it's two things. It's either you ask for what you deserve and get it, or you go somewhere else where you get it. And what you just have to just trust the process that you'll end up somewhere where they'll treat you right, and you'll be able to enjoy what you're doing, which is kind of the work balance everybody's trying to seek. Those are two very tough things to fill when it comes to a job. Right. That it supports you and both financially, and spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. I think another thing that brought it to light for me is my wife actually just started a new job, and with a great company, and they're giving her what she deserves as far as finances. And the stories that I've been hearing about how they just genuinely seem to give a fuck about her already. They just met her. I've been working at this company for like 8 years. Some of these doctors still call me Derek. It's like so when you hear that, right? When you hear like, oh my God, that's the way a job could be. That's the way you could be appreciated. And then I got to go and feel the complete opposite and get paid 2/3 of what she makes. Yeah. So the joy I feel for my wife, and it's tremendous joy for her because she deserved it because the last job didn't treat her well. But it also acts as a mirror to what my situation is, and just made me realize how awful it is compared to what she has.
Yeah, I think that's very common that people can sometimes not fully see the situation until they get another view of it, whether it's through what somebody else has or through a different way that they get treated. I wasn't seeing that fully. This experience I was talking about at Fordham, if I had seen it, I would have left a lot sooner, and I would have probably behaved differently. I remember thinking, even after that meeting, I was like, maybe this will be my last year here. I remember thinking that. And guess what? I resigned 2 weeks later. I couldn't stay, no matter what. And that's when I started my private practice. Sometimes these things do at least give you the opportunity to go find something better for you.
Do you want to look for something better, Eric?
You know, what I want is for them to because the nature of the work of what they do is, you know, it's what I've done my whole life. So I think it's just more the environment. It's really not the work. It's just, you know, I think that you can't offer someone a promotion and additional job responsibilities at an additional 40 cents an hour. I'm sorry. You can't. And if that was the case, if you would have told me 10 months ago, do you want this promotion at 40 cents extra an hour? I couldn't have found new ways to say go fuck yourself. I would have learned a new language. I would have fucking got one of those tapes so I could say fuck you in German, Chinese, Japanese. I would have found new ways to say fuck you. If you would have told me I was getting 40 cents additional, here's a list of new responsibilities. And oh, by the way, maybe at the end of the week, you can buy a fucking bottle of Yoo-Hoo and a bag of chips, and you can barely afford that at $7, right? But they didn't give you the option. They didn't.
You say Yoo-Hoo.
They just said and I actually drink Yoo-Hoo, so fuck you. They literally said, well, I was misled to believe that the salary increase was based on what they were being told would be a certain amount. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was an amount. Okay, right. Mm-hmm. It was some level of significance to it. It wasn't $7 a check. So I kind of feel that's a betrayal. That's a mistrust.
I agree.
You know what I mean? That is, look, motherfucker, I wouldn't have taken the position. Okay? I wouldn't have taken the job. Right now, the only thing that it looks good on my resume because it looked like I got some kind of promotion. That's it. But you know what? Maybe if I were younger and I didn't know me and I didn't know now that, you know, I think maybe one of the reasons why I'm getting so pissed off is that I'm more comfortable with me and I'm allowing myself to get pissed off. And I'm allowing myself to feel this way. Because maybe 10, 15 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, I should be grateful. I still have a job. I would have been so quick to jump onto let's look at the bright side. Well, if the bright side is fucking myself, then fuck the bright side. Mm-hmm. I got to find my bright side. So, you know, maybe is it a get off my lawn thing? I don't know. I don't think I'm that old. I think it has more to do with me knowing who I am than the fact that I have lower back pain. Maybe it's a combination. I'm not sure.
I mean, yeah, even if you were saying get off my lawn, this is more like get off my lawn when you have like dropped a bomb on it. It's like this was bad. I mean, I just want to validate that for you. Sometimes that can be helpful just to validate. Like, I would be so mad.
Right, but I think just...
I am mad for you. I mean, that pisses me off.
But all they had to do was take care of me. A little something. You know what I mean? It's like just the number they promised me, and I could have used an acknowledgement on furthering my education under your watch as an employee, which to me should make you a valued asset because you are working for me. You didn't miss a day of work. You excelled in your job, and you obtained a higher education degree under my watch. As an employer, I would think, I gotta hook this guy up, man. He's doing things. When someone takes on the responsibility of advancing their career, advancing their education, and they do it without solicitation or expectation or on the promise of a promotion, to me, that's a sign of somebody that you should keep around because they made a decision that was totally self-motivated, extremely challenging, and they accomplished it with a 3.96 GPA, All right? Mm-hmm. To not get a congratulations, to not get any kind of response from the people that I work with and for. Now, my immediate supervisor, I don't count her. We're partners in crime. She she always gives me my props. So she's the only person in the company. But everyone in the agency knows that I've been doing this because I had to apply through the union to get funded for it. So everybody knew, but no one cared. So, you know, I guess, you know, sometimes you think you matter more at work than you do. And you always read those things like, you know, you'll be fired within a week if you die, so don't worry about what people think of you at work. I don't know if I would go to that extreme because I have worked in companies that I know they cared and I cared about them. But, I mean, I busted my ass for 2.5 years doing extra stuff while I was working and never fucked with my work. Give me an attaboy. Buy me a lunch. You know? Do something. Don't give me 40 cents an hour. And the kicker is they said, oh, we'll see if we can find some money for you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, what, in the couch? Are you going to, like, look around? Do you have, like, one of those metal detectors on the beach? You going to go find some money for me? So, yeah. So, I've just, it's just been frustrating. But the one thing that about being comfortable with yourself is that you do understand that you can't let it affect others that don't deserve to be affected by it. I work with people more so at work because you have to be professional, but you also can't take it out on your partner or who you're living with. But I think, you know, my wife was angrier than me when this happened, and it's sad that it took about 3 months
for it to hit you,
for me to finally get angry.
And I think that's why it's built up so much. You
know,
maybe you didn't realize it. Maybe you hear other people say it, and you're like, "Oh, okay, you're such a mellow, cool guy." You're like, "Oh, good." I'm sorry, but then it builds up. It's the same thing with holding something in. You know, it's the same thing when someone tells you you're fine. Yeah, I'm good. Deep down inside, you're not good. We don't tell everything, and I think that's the same thing. I think. Yeah, bro, I'm sorry you're going through this, bro. If I could tell you anything, I'd be like, yo, look for another job. Look for another job, bro, where you feel like you're going to get appreciated. You know, it's just like a relationship if you think about it. You know, most of us ain't happy. People look for certain things. I mean, I don't know if that's the right advice, Dr. Dan, but, you know, like, if I had to tell you anything as a friend, I'd be like, yo, you know, take your time and just go somewhere. Find something where you really appreciate it.
I think there's very few times where I would say, like, there's pretty clear advice, but I think this is one of them. Whatever the situation is, whether you stay there or not, it's not okay for you to feel that disrespected. And I do think that I can relate, by the way. Like, I was just the calmest guy. I would put up with all kinds of things, and I did that for decades. And at a certain point, I got to a point where I felt so unappreciated in certain situations that I snapped. I mean, we've talked about it. I think it was my first walk the walk. No, maybe my second walk the walk where I talked about the therapist who didn't appreciate me. Yeah. It was a very similar thing. And I'll tell you, I was so angry about that, and I still am so angry about that. It cuts you to the bone when you're not valued. And all I'll tell you is, whatever you decide, I want you to find places where you're valued and fuck the rest of them. And I mean it.
Yeah. I already know my options are very simple. And like I said earlier, they either need to give me what I deserve, or I need to go somewhere where I get what I deserve.
Exactly.
It's really a very, very, very simple thing. It's a long-term thing. If it's because, you know, the one thing I don't want to do, and what you should never do, is make a rash decision. You know, I haven't lost all sense of logic in that regard. But I think that being nice sometimes is as good as it is to be a nice person, it could be a detriment to be too nice because people know you're nice and they know that it's unlikely you'll respond in a way most people would logically respond, which is to get pissed. Like, I should have, like, for example, when I took the call for that new job, I should have said, what? And I should have said, no, you know what? I'm turning this down because I want to talk to the people that offered it to me first. That's what I should have done. But I accepted it. I accepted it out of a professional politeness or some kind of fucking sense that I got to be a certain way.
This is part of why I got so mad at the therapist, actually, is I put up with that for 9.5 years.
Ah.
And I did actually get kind of mad at myself for that. But I want to encourage you, don't be hard on yourself about that. It's not easy. It's not easy for nice, good people to go ahead and let themselves have their anger. But I mean, at least from an anger standpoint, I think this is a good step forward. I mean, I know it's hard.
Yeah.
But
it's
like,
not you, it's dumb.
What's that?
I said it's not you, it's dumb. And then sometimes another thing, Eric, you know, it's crazy because sometimes we get too comfortable too, you know? Sometimes we see a clear sign of, you know what, I'm not being appreciated here, you know, but we're afraid of change. We're afraid of change, you know. Once you're used to something, you've been there 8 years, dude, you know, so you have to be like, you know, in a certain way, yeah, you don't feel appreciated, but you already know that, you know, as to telling yourself, okay, you know what, I need to go somewhere where I am appreciated, but then all the thoughts come behind your head and haunt you. Wow, what if I am appreciated there? But what if I don't like that job? You know, it's a mind fuck, really, if you think about it. But you know what? I think the fact that you opened up about it today, like Dr. Dan said, that was a great step forward. You know, hopefully, you know, next time we meet, we could talk about this. But it is.
You asked me how I was feeling. You shouldn't have asked.
No. You know,
we wanted to know.
But that's a good thing. That's what
Stop
we're
asking
trying to
questions.
Let people know. I know, right? Next time, Dr. Dan, note to self, not ask Eric shit.
Okay.
Note to self, no, let's skip Eric.
This is a talk show. Shut the fuck up. Don't ask me questions.
No, but this is exactly what this show is about. You know what I'm saying? And most of us men be like, how you doing? I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. And we're not good. We're not. I'm dealing with the same shit, Eric. I'm glad. Just hearing you today vent out that stuff, it just made me think about me and how I feel like I've hit a wall in my career. And my career is different. I don't have a job like you. I'm a starving artist. I'm still looking for that. You know what I'm saying? But I feel the same way. Sometimes I'm like, damn, but is it really worth it? Should I just give in? Should I just go get a job and just say, you know? And part of me, it's like a fight. It's like a fight with myself all the time. You know, so I feel the same way you do in a certain way, but just hearing you talk about it sort of like encouraged me in a way, you know, and that's what we do when we talk, man. You know, sometimes you vent out your shit and you could be helping someone else in a way and you don't even know it.
Well, you know, the fact, see, now that you yell it, when you yell it out, now you could talk it out. You know what I mean? When you yell it out, now the need to yell about it is gone. So now comes the plan. Now comes the discussion, the conversation, the meetings that I need to initiate, and lay out some parameters that I think I need to happen in order to feel comfortable with this new role and all these new responsibilities. Then the compensation has to be there. Now, there are ways they could do this kind of stuff. Okay, and I can just be very honest in that, you know, I will be actively pursuing other opportunities if I feel like my needs are not being met. Now, as long as I excel in my position, I can't be terminated. I'm a union member, that's one. And two, as long as I perform my job duties, I can't be terminated for any other reason. Even though, you know, even though most states' employment is usually at a no-fault type of thing where they could really kind of fire you for no reason. But as a union member, I do have that protection. But I do need to, you know, I think it's not only myself that becomes comfortable, Edgar. It's the people that treat you like that become the most comfortable. And the fact that they could feel comfortable in offering me this position, taking 10 months to process it, and then only giving me 40 cents an hour shows their comfort level. And so the fact that I'm not so much comfortable with them. I think they're more too comfortable with me.
I really love that point. I think when I think about when people have disrespected me, one of the thoughts that has gone through my head is, you really think it's okay to treat me like this? And I realize they do. They wouldn't do it if they thought they couldn't get away with it. And I've had that happen with family members. I've had it happen at work. I've had it happen in relationships. It's really important to recognize if you really are this comfortable with it, here's what I decided, Eric, and for whatever it's worth, and if it's useful to you, I decided I'm going to make these people pretty uncomfortable. Like that therapist, I can guarantee you I made him really uncomfortable afterwards. I told him it like it was. I told him, I mean, he said things to me like, I don't understand why you don't feel that I'm empathic. And I was like, it's because you aren't. Don't play these games with me. You're not empathic. You don't like me, and I don't even like you. And that, I'm sure, made him very uncomfortable. But I don't mean to say this. Well, no, I do mean to say this with full aggression behind it. I meant to make him as uncomfortable as possible because he deserved it. I told him the last time I saw him, I said, listen, I wrote you a letter with all kinds of things about what I did not like about this, but I'm not going to give it to you because I don't think you're even going to listen to it. I don't think you're going to think about it. And so I'm not going to do that. And I also don't really want to end on that note. I've worked to have this be a good relationship as best as I could. It didn't work out. And I want you to know that even though I don't think you're going to miss me, I actually will miss you, even though you didn't treat me well. And I'll tell you, it felt great to say that. Because it's exactly what you're talking about, Eric. I decided if you're that comfortable, I'm going to make you uncomfortable. You don't deserve to be that comfortable mistreating me.
Mm-hmm. True that.
You know, the irony is that, you know, I think the behavior of the therapist was there was a tangible kind of, there were certain behaviors that would, being treated, not getting paid what you're worth is such a passive aggressive way to say fuck you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'd rather they treated me badly. The irony is
I get it.
As a human being, they treat me great. Oh, yeah, you're a good guy. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, they're great, decent people.
But they sound like they're from Wisconsin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We like cheese. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We love America.
Who are your coworkers, bro?
Yeah.
You work in the Bronx?
Yeah. No. Listen. You know, the irony is, it's not the people. It's the institution.
It's the willingness to do that.
Because the people, the individuals I work with, at least in my small circle, because I'm only a team of 4 people in my particular team. My team is great. And all they had to do was give me the number they said, and probably none of this would be happening right now. Mm-hmm. Because if you give someone a promotion, there should be some money, especially when you just got your master's degree. And to just give a bunch of new stuff with no increase and no promise of an increase, and to have it be a surprise. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't my boss that did this to me. It was administration.
Yeah.
So I can't.
Somebody okayed that.
Somebody okayed it. You know what I mean? So I know it wasn't my supervisor. I know that. So, when I go out the door, believe me, whenever I do decide to leave, if I ever go and when I go, because no one stays anywhere forever, I'll have some very, very key words for administration during my exit interview. But I will make sure it doesn't spill over to my immediate supervisor and team who had nothing to do with it, who are great. Mm-hmm. Because both things can be true. I can work with a great team for an organization that treats me like trash.
Yeah, right. And actually, I find sometimes letting in the anger brings that kind of clarity. It lets you be angry at the right people or the right organization or institution. You direct it in the right place then. But you got to let it in first.
Let me ask you, you think you're the only one that feels like that in your team?
No,
like you do?
No. I've had conversations. Well, the 3 of them team members have been here for less than 3 months. So before it was so there was another thing. We were supposed to be a team of 5, and it was just me and one other person maintaining a program designed to be supported by 5, and we still made it work. No acknowledgement. They would still point out deficiencies in our service delivery, and I would always tell them, "We're missing 3 people." You know what I mean? What part of we're missing 3 people don't you fucking understand? But it never stopped them from pointing out the deficiencies instead of focusing on the positives. Our outside vendors focused on the positives, the ones that paid our contracts. They said, you guys were doing a great job underneath the circumstances. Between the pandemic and no staff, good job. From people that don't pay us.
Right.
The people that pay us, listen, the numbers look low. You know what looks low? Our staffing, stupid. We're missing 3 people. All right, so this company is an interesting company. That's all I got to say. But again, I know what my choices are. I either need to get what I deserve or go somewhere where I'm going to get what I deserve.
That's it. And you just said it, bro.
Right.
You know?
I was waiting for you to say it out loud yourself. You
No,
just said
listen,
it. You
and it's
just
good
said
to
it.
feel. You know what? I don't get angry enough. I sometimes think I've gotten too good at trying not to be angry. You know, and I used to think of that as a strength. And I think there's a difference between not allowing yourself to be angry and checking your temper. Those are 2 different things.
Right, exactly.
And I think I've been confusing checking my anger and keeping it as a sign of holding my temper. And a temper is about the reaction. The emotion's okay. It's, I just got to not react towards others in a physical way or a verbal way, but I got to allow myself to feel this shit. And I can't say, oh, let me not get angry about it because it's not going to help anything. Well, maybe it might, just to feel it, feel it.
I think it does help.
Go
ahead.
I feel better now, actually.
I think the football was what really took it over the top.
It's ironic.
I think honestly, if you think
was
about
the
it,
last
life,
straw.
we have so much stuff going on, and it's like you say, sometimes we're like, okay, you know what, I could hide this, no one needs to know this, I could go with it, and we hide everything, and we built so much stuff, and then something happens that takes it over the top, and you know what, as fucked up as it may be that this gift messed up on you 2 times, everything happens for a reason. Well, we met up right before this podcast. We met up and we were like looking for topics of what we go talk about, and we completely did not talk about it at all. And it just became like a walking the walk for you, and it's a beautiful thing. It wasn't planned, but it's crazy how the football just let all this out. And I'm glad that you feel better. And I hope everyone listening and everyone viewing at home understands that it does make you feel better. Yeah, maybe it gets you angry during the process. Maybe it gets you angry as you're talking about it because you're thinking about it. But at the end of the day, it does make you feel better. And understand that we keep hiding, and if you keep hiding, if you keep holding things in, eventually you will pop. Well, I'm glad that you popped with us. I'm glad that this is the conversation instead of going to work tomorrow and be like, "Fuck all you got." You know what I'm saying?
No, I would never see. That's the thing. I would never do that. I would never do that. But I think what happened was, you remember the movie Airplane?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Okay. Do you remember when they were saying like, "Oh, the engine went. Oh, the engine just died. Oh, that's fine. Oh, it looks like we're running out of fuel. Oh, we should be okay." Right. I'm sorry, we're out of coffee. Fuck! How many times have I told them? Always pack enough coffee. You know what I mean? Like, so it was every disaster. Nobody gave a shit. But as soon as they said there was no coffee, all hell broke loose. That was the football was my coffee.
Yep. Yeah.
I was I wanted that small victory to feel good about, and I didn't get it. And then and now I got to go through an 8-week process to get my refund to give my cousin, who is my brother from another mother, who I love more than anybody, who still doesn't have a birthday gift from me. And I know he understands. And I know his wife understands. But it doesn't make it any less fucked up to me because it was his 50th. It was a big deal. And I wanted to make it a big deal for him and give him something cool.
And you needed something.
Yeah, I needed the win. Just to go back like we were talking about in the beginning. I needed the win. I didn't get it, but that's okay. My next win.
Honestly, Eric, you want me to tell you something? I think this is your win.
Huh?
This episode was your win.
Why? My camera died. I'm not so sure about that. I don't know if I can buy that.
Yeah, your camera didn't like your attitude.
My camera died. I can't even send a video to Greg until like next week because my camera's dead. You know what I mean? There's just so many things about this episode But thank you for my last episode here of Brothers in Arms.
No
I'd like
way,
to thank
bro.
you for
No
supporting
way.
my journey.
No way.
I wanted to look
everything happens.
I wanted to look my best, so I let the camera die.
Everything happens for a reason, man. I'm a strong believer in that. Everything happens.
I do want to say, like, I've seen this hundreds and hundreds of times with many, many different people.
What, the camera
Dying?
Unfortunately, I've seen that a lot too.
Because
But not with hundreds of people. I've seen that with 15
Edgar.
people, probably. And Edgar. It's even happened to me once. I don't know how this camera does it. My compliments to you. But I think that it's really, it's something that I've seen over and over where people get to a point in their lives where they decide, you know what, I don't deserve that, and I'm gonna make some changes, and those can be painful and they can be scary, but it led to some of the best things in my life when I decided that. Mm-hmm. When I decided, you know what, I don't care what anybody else thinks. I gotta go with what this felt like to me. Mm-hmm. I gotta back me up. And if I was not appreciated, I'm not going there again. I'm not a fool. I'm not just going to keep going back to the same dry well. Not happening.
We will. As humans, we probably will. And we'll keep going back, even though someone don't
until
treat
we
us
learn
right, they don't
until we learn not
appreciate us.
to. Until we learn, you know what?
Until we learn
I don't
not
need to go back
exactly.
to this dry well. I'm going to go buy this house with a functional well over here. You know, and obviously you need funds to be able to do that particular one, but you get my metaphor. Mm-hmm. You go to the places where you feel appreciated. And I in some ways, Eric, I want you to know I kind of feel honored that you did this here, because I don't think you would have done it with us if you didn't trust us. I know you trust us. I certainly know how well you trust Edgar from all those years, but I think you trust me too. And when you can trust somebody, you can actually go ahead and get angry. A lot of times we don't get angry because we didn't trust anybody. We didn't have anybody to trust, or even the people we did trust, we didn't fully trust. It's a big step forward, I think. So I'm
I'm happy
glad.
to
see
Like I
it,
said,
actually.
Eric, this season, we really haven't done many walking the walks this season, right?
Mm-mm.
Probably with the couple of guests that we have, but I mean, we haven't really done a walking the walk, and I feel like this was yours, bro.
Well, I've been pretty lucky in that things have been. I mean, nothing's ever perfect, but I haven't had to face the circumstances that I've had in the last 10, 12 months. You know, more so, but the job, it's only been maybe 3 months. It's actually been about the last 2 or 3 months with the job is where I really feel like it started to turn with that promotion and the lack of respect. And I think, and like I said, seeing how the other half could be through my wife and her job made me realize that, you know, I guess it's when you see someone in a good relationship and then you look at your partner and you're like, the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? Like when you meet somebody and you see how it is to be treated with dignity and respect and acknowledgement, and you're not getting it, and yet you're pouring your heart and soul into it. You know, you don't realize sometimes how what you're in until you actually, like you said, Dan, when you see other circumstances and you see how it could be, and you know, and the fact that, and I hate to repeat myself, but my wife, within a week of working at a new job, had people seeming more genuinely interested in how she was doing than in my job after 7 years. Mm-hmm. Now, and I'm not talking about just one person. Multiple people in the organization, on different levels in the organization, were reaching out and offering congratulations and support and offering to assist in any way. You know what I mean? And there's two things that told me. A, that's what I want. And B, I could tell why that company she's working for, and I'm not going to mention the name, is one of the most successful companies on the planet. And I'm not exaggerating. It is an international company and one of the most successful organizations on the planet. And now I have one reason why. Because and this is just a little drop of what I've seen, but if you treat an entire organization's worth of employees with the fraction of the dignity and respect that my wife who just got there is being treated with, then they're going to work, they're going to break their back for you, and they are never going to leave that company. And those are two wonderful components to any successful organization: continuity and growth, and just support. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's showing me that there's something like that out there. And I either need to make my situation what I want it or go find it elsewhere. Because I do believe if I stand on my ground and I insist on what I want, maybe there is a way I can get the proper compensation, that I deserve.
Or respect.
The respect I deserve. Maybe, sometimes if you don't ask for things, they're not just going to give it to you. And maybe I'm at the point where I got to ask for it, because I'm not going to, I can't, I believe in a world of meritocracy, and that is not the world. Now, in meritocracy, to make it simple, is you believe your rewards are based on your effort. That in life, you should get out of what you put in. But life is not a meritocracy. That is not life. Life doesn't work that way. And you don't exactly get out what you put in. Sometimes you got to demand what you want. So my plan is I need to either get it where I'm at or see where else I could get it.
Can I ask you something, bro?
Yeah, what's up?
Let's say you go to work tomorrow, and tomorrow they'll be like, yo, Eric, we messed up. We're going to give you $4 a raise, for your comp. Would you think that will fix everything? You think that will fix everything to the point where I'll be like, okay, now I don't have to bitch anymore. Now I could be happy at work? Or you think all this that you've been holding in? And
I think there's a big difference between not being happy with the work and not being happy with the organization that provides the work. The work has never been the problem for me, and neither has the team I work for. The pay I was offered for a promotion that I was promised and delayed after 7 to 8 months, that was the insult. But that didn't have anything to do with my day-to-day work and the people I served and the services I provided. So those are two different things.
Okay, but that's my question. So let's say tomorrow they change their mind and they do it. Would you let this go and move on like it didn't happen? Or
I will express my disappointment that it didn't happen initially, and I will ask why the delay. I think an explanation would be in order. But would it go a long way to mend fences? Yes. Because if I had that from the beginning, we would not be having this conversation.
Right.
Had they just given me what they insinuated, even though they didn't guarantee, but they threw a number out there. Okay? Had they even come close to that, none of this, I would not be having this conversation, because you've never heard me complain about the work itself. I just don't like the way I've been treated by administration. As an organization, they did not treat a valued employee very well.
And, I'm thinking about it. One thing I just want to add, this is for you, Eric, but also for the listeners out there who so many of them will have had very similar situations at some point. One way that you can help yourself out of this trouble is to remember it's not actually that complicated to treat somebody in a way that feels good. It's not that hard. I mean, think about what you were asking for just now, Eric. Is it really that hard? It's not. That's why they screwed up so bad. It just wasn't even that hard. So don't twist yourself into a pretzel thinking maybe I should have done this, or maybe I'm misunderstanding this. No.
I'll always regret accepting that job on the phone. I can't help but regret that, because I let myself get caught in.
But you know what?
I should have known I had the choice to say no.
But you know what? I bet you'll never do anything like that again because of this.
No, never again. I'll consult with my wife before I accept any new jobs.
And that's a gain. I mean, shame on them. But I'm glad that you won't ever do that again for you.
Never again.
Messed up things have to happen to open our eyes sometimes.
Yeah, I wish I would have just said, "Can I call you back?" I should have said, "Give me 30 minutes." But hindsight's always 20/20. But like you said,
don't be too hard on yourself.
I learned this lesson. I learned this lesson very clear. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
And for the listeners as well, man, this could go with work This could go with relationships. This could go with friendships. This could go in every way, shape, or form. Where people don't appreciate you, or you feel like they don't value the person that you are, then yeah, it has to come to a decision that sometimes walking away or changing what we're used to is the hardest thing. But
I now know what this episode is about. This episode was about what happens when you don't get dignity and respect from people that you give dignity and respect to.
I love it.
Tangana.
You know what I mean? When and this could be, like you said, this is applicable personal and professional relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I'm never not going to be a nice guy, because you have to be who you are. You have to be who you are at your core. But my reactions to things can be different. I can be a nice guy still, but I shouldn't have let it go as far as it has. And I've done this before in previous jobs, where I've let the job consume me out of a sense of, professional respect. I can't say anything. And I think now maybe I'm just realizing my own worth not only as an employee, but as a person. Amazing. And that I should demand the same respect and dignity that I provide every day when I walk through the door. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply that thinking and plan where I'm at, because if I can change my environment, then I can make it what I want. And if I can't, then it's not the environment I want to be a part of anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Everything is a lesson, man. I think everything. I'll give you guys a quick example. Someone called me a couple of weeks ago to book me for a gig, right? And they sold me the gig. They were like, "Oh, we got this and this and that." They offered me the money, and the money wasn't even all that, But I was like, I don't have nothing else, so I'm gonna take it. Sometimes we put in that position where we demand something, but we don't get what we want. But then you can't say no, because someone else will take that. Oh, look, Eric's back, his shirt. But so you take it. So I took this gig, and then after I took the gig, the lady sent me all the information for the show, and they're paying $50 tickets. They're expecting 300 people, and I'm like, and this is all you're paying me? It got me mad. Like, I was furious. Yeah. I'm like, I can't believe I agreed to this shit. I'm mad. I'm mad that I agreed to it, but it's a lesson. It's a lesson, just like this. This is a lesson. Next time this happens, before I jump the gun, then I'll ask all the questions before I do it. We can't get mad. We can't expect everything to be perfect in life. We're gonna crash. We're gonna hit walls. We're gonna fuck up. But we gotta learn from that. Yeah. And that's the problem with most men. Yeah, we crash, we hit walls, and then we fucking toughen up and we move forward, and we don't learn. And if we don't learn from those mistakes,
and we don't learn to take care of ourselves or honor ourselves. Mm-hmm. But I hear you doing it, Eric. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just needed to get to the point where to quote the great movie Network, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
That's right.
It's funny, bro, that I wish I could see you. I mean, for the listeners, Eric's camera gave up on him. She didn't like the attitude.
I'm telling you, even my camera quit on me. Even my camera doesn't give me the fucking dignity and respect.
Said, you know what? The football's not gonna work. I'm not gonna work either. But and tell me if you hear it as well, Dr. Dan. I see his voice changing.
Oh, it's totally different. It shifted. It shifted
from the beginning to now.
Yeah, maybe like 20 minutes ago or something. We started to get something where I could just hear that he was ready to honor himself, and that he knew we were there with him, and you felt resolved.
Yes, and that's what this is all about, man. That's what this show is all about. That's what Brothers in Arms is all about. It's all about, talking and being better, man. I hope all the listeners got a perfect example out of this, because, I mean, we had a great topic, and we're going to come back with that topic. Next week, we're going to do your topic, Dr.
All right, that sounds good.
I love the fact that this happened today. This is genuine. This is like, spur of the moment, and I love it. And I hope the listeners listen to and realize that, you know what, sometimes just talking can help a lot, and that's what Brothers in Arms is all about. It's just let's talk, let's be better, let's learn from our mistakes, and be better men, yo. That's it. And I think we got to get the hell out of here, Doctor.
We do. All right, I'll take us out.
Yeah, we do. Let's take us out.
If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally.
That's right. Brothers in arms.
No camera.
No floating footballs.